Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Dave and this is Mimshed. In this video I'm working on the cylinder refurbishment and top end rebuild of my 2003 KTM 250SX. I'll also be setting the Z measurement as part of the continuing rebuild on this engine. Just a reminder, this isn't a tutorial, it's a how I do it video, showing the process I go through to get this old two-stroke motorcycle back up and running. Hopefully it helps someone out there working on something similar or just following along with my project. If you're enjoying this series, then please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. It all goes towards that algorithm and really helps my channel out and doesn't cost you a dime. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, this is the second cylinder off the engine that I bought off eBay. It has a crack in it, as you know from previous episode. The seller has ghosted me after promising that he would send another cylinder. Thanks, Liam. So my only option now is to strip this one, and there's a place in Victoria called Electrosil, not a sponsor, and they have really helped me out of a pickle by promising a quick turnaround, and they will repair the crack and recoat the Nicosol lining. But I have to strip the power valve out and send it off as a bare cylinder, so that's what I'm going to do now. This valve does appear to be in good condition. All these fixings have had Loctite applied to the threads. They take a little bit of effort to break free. Now that I've broken the grip of the Loctite, I can use my impact driver to run the screws out. Once the gear segment and the retaining bracket are out of the way, the control roller can be removed. I'm just using my dead blow hammer to break the bond of the silicone on this cover. There we are. I can now box this up, send it off and get it repaired. But first I'll need to give it a wash. What I will do first is bag up each side in individual bags so I don't get mixed up and confuse myself. Okay, let's do that. Just looking to see if I can see the crack on the inside here. Now that the power valve's been removed. I don't know if you can see it there or not. It's a very faint crack. And there's some nickel plating lifting off there and there, as well as the minor scoring, which will only become major scoring. There we go, wrapped up, ready to go to Electrosil over in the eastern states. It'll be roughly a week to 10 days turnaround. So I'll be excited to see what comes back and what sort of job they do. Anyway, off we go. Okay, received a package from Electrosil in the eastern states over in Melbourne. This will be my reconditioned cylinder. So let's get this open and have a look. Some literature, the bill, so this is the do's and don'ts about fitting it, so we'll have a read through that. Looking good so far. Wow. First impressions, that looks $1 million. Certainly done a good job. So that's where the crack was, just in front of my thumb, and the missing nickel plating. It all looks very good, very happy. This will be my piston. I had to sand that out with it. Requirement is to send your piston with the bore, and they size the bore to your piston. So everything should be perfect. Okay. Right hand side powervalve parts, left hand side powervalve parts, valve cover, and the valve. Okay, let's start putting this back together. Okay, according to the paperwork from Electrosil, make sure all the surfaces are free of old gasket material, which I've done. Wash the cylinder with hot water and detergent, not solvent, making sure that all surfaces are clean and free from any loose material. For two strokes, prepare the cylinder by wiping the bore with two-stroke oil. Make sure the power valves are clean and operate freely. Check the power valve does not extend into the cylinder. Okay, let's do that. So I've got a bucket of warm water with dishwashing detergent in it. And here's our freshly relined cylinder. In we go. One of the known failure points on this generation of KTM two-stroke motorcycle is the pin in this tooth segment can fall out and go down into the transmission and cause the engine to lock up. The recommended fix is to put a spot weld on the back of the pin, effectively making the pin and the tooth segment one piece. May need to flatten off the weld a little so it doesn't fail on the mechanism. So I have my gasket kit. So KTM 250SX 2003 to 2004. They look like the exhaust O-rings. Various transmission O-rings. These are the ones we are after. That'll be the for there. Two, three, four. Match up the O-rings. Looks very similar. And the manual says to use a little bit of grease on these. The manual also says to grease these control sleeves. So left hand side would be this side. right hand side. I have the manual right beside me and I'm not going off memory. You may notice that I'm using the manual for a 2004 250SX. They're the same machine. All the specifications are the same. Tooth segment gets mounted to the right hand side. Might be easier just to do that. Overload spring with the short leg on the outside. Coat the Allen head bolt with Loctite 243. Hook the short leg over the pin. Tighten the Allen head bolt. Says not to tighten these bolts yet because they need to be adjusted to set the flap. I'll just nip that up. I'll have to loosen that one on because I haven't touched that, so it's still tight. At this point, I'm not noticing any of the markings on the gear rollers depicted in the manual. The manual says to mount the control rollers in the open position. Says to mount the control flap in such a manner that the flap is completely open and the marks on the gear segments coincide. Well, I don't have any marks, So it's going to be a gas. I think before this goes in, I need to mount these plates on. So these little Allen head screws need to be torqued to I forget. So these little Allen head screws need to be torqued to 7 Newton meters. I don't have anything this small to torque these to that, so click. Click. Same on this side. Click. Click. Still spins. All is right with the weld. Make sure that's still set. Don't know if you can see in there. These control rollers need to be all the way open. In there and in there. And now this can go in. Except now it doesn't fit. Back this off a little bit, just to get it past. I'll back these keeper plates off a bit, just enough to get the flap in, and then I'll re-Loctite them and do them up again. Click. 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 Okay. Closed, closed, fully open, fully open. At last. Okay. Next step is to put this cover on. So we'll do that now. Just got some isopropyl alcohol, a clean chuck, so just clean this surface up. This has already been washed and cleaned. It's just getting any finger goo off that I might have left on there. I'm just going to smear a little bit of grease on those O-rings. That will help prevent the O-ring from getting pinched when I fit the cover. Using JB Weld Ultimate Grey RTV silicone. Thin smear. And we're going to put some on the O-rings as well. of grease. All the little spring bracket goes to the top right. And one goes to bottom left. Everything still moves, which is good. Still moving. Torque to 10 Newton meters. Check it again. All good. Ports are open fully. Spring's still working. Beautiful. Always remember to back off this type of tension wrench. There's a spring in here, and if you leave it on the setting, the spring can stretch and your torque wrench won't be accurate. So always back them off. Okay, so what I'm doing next is the dimension Z, or Z if you're American, which is the distance the control flap travels inside the cylinder. This setting is crucial so the flap doesn't travel too far into the cylinder and contact the piston. So the dimension is from the top of the cylinder to the middle of the flap is 48.5 millimeters. Now I don't have one of these fancy tools to measure that, so I've made one. So how it works is sits in there, you bring the flap down and you adjust this arm and tighten those bolts. So that's what we'll do. Specifies to use 243 Loctite. Okay. flap all the way up. I'll hold the pressure on this side, so that's being held in place. I'll bring this arm down and I'll tighten it up. Okay, simple as that. That is the dimension Z. And it's 48.4 millimeters plus or minus 0.2, so that is well within spec. So all I need to do now is just torque that up. The torque setting for an M6 bolt is 10 Newton meters. There we are. How I'm going to hold this, I don't know. Okay, recheck the dimension. Perfect. Sliding on there a bit, I'll put weight on the ball here, and I've got resistance. Feels perfect. So that is dimension Z. And this cylinder is now ready to be fitted to the engine. Alright, that's the cylinder refurbishment and the top end back together on this 2003 KTM 250SX. The Z measurement has been checked and adjusted, and everything is cleaned and back to where it should be. And we're one more step closer to get this engine running again. So if you've made it this far, thank you for your support. So I hope this video has helped someone, and it's given you an insight to how I do things in my workshop. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And it all goes towards that algorithm and really helps my channel out and doesn't cost you a dime. So having said that, thank you for joining me. And as always, keep the rubber side down, and I hope to see you out there on my ride.